So what's up, Brian?
Well, we've got another big deadline. Of course, we're going to have another focus test. But what's special about this one is we have to put all of our features into the game. And some companies would refer to this as being an alpha deadline. For us, it's putting all the pieces into the game.
So, do we have an acronym for that?
I don't know. But so what that means is we have a lot of features, a lot of levels, and it's getting them up and running, getting them working, and making them playable. And from that point on, we get to then tune it and polish the levels. And so really, it's getting the whole game kind of up on its feet, as they say. So it becomes one big working game, and we get to see what we've got.
Sure. So is this a particularly stressful time then for the production team?
Very much so. But we're in actually really good shape. Again, we're much farther ahead than we have been on past games, and we just had a really good, lengthy pre-production period to kind of anticipate some of these issues that come up. And we've been through enough games where there's just problems that you don't anticipate that kind of pop up, and now we're anticipating them. And we've also planned ahead in that we made the back end rather light. So we did a lot of our more difficult work up front. We have a lot of variety, a lot of different enemies in the game, and so we made sure that the bulk of the enemy work was done up front, and at the tail end of it, we just have a few new enemies that we're putting in, so that it would be a little bit of a lighter load, so we can deal with a lot of the other new features.
What was the biggest challenge you faced this past week?
I think one of the things that kind of came up was we're working on this demo for E3, and this is going to be kind of a showcase level for us, and it will be the first level in the game. And we'd noticed that some of the music wasn't going to necessarily match some of the moments that were occurring. So we kind of had to scramble, and I talked to our music director, Paul Mudra, about how we could potentially tackle this and make sure that we have more cinematic style music that really fits the intensity and the variety of the level.
Sure. Well, speaking of that first level, how are we approaching this first level compared to our past games?
Well, we really want to start the game off with a bang, and so we're actually investing twice the amount of energy that we would in a typical level into this level. So we really want that level of intensity up front, and players to really feel that next-gen, I mean, I hate to use that word because it's used so often, but that experience where it's like, this is awesome, this is like no other Ratchet game I've ever played before, and just really blow them away.
Cool. And how are you feeling about the progress so far?
It's looking amazing. I mean, it is really jaw-dropping, and we just we've known this from the very beginning of the project. We have a great designer, Drew Murray, who's been working on it endlessly, just tweaking everything he can to make it sure it's perfect. And he's been doing a great job. Everyone's been doing a really good job, and I think people will really be impressed.
So last we were talking about you were leaving for the focus test right after Gamers Day. So how did the second focus test go?
It went really well. Again, we got some really great responses, and we have a lot of the pieces in. We had about 2/3 of the game that we were showing, and even though we had, there was a lot of stuff that was still kind of missing, like our cut scenes were still like black and white. We had animatics in some places. People still gave the game some very high marks. And we got some good responses from our older players, which was really cool to see too. There was a lot of great information that we got out of it as well. We had some really tough challenges in a couple parts. There was one level where these giant enemies would just kind of come out of the blue and stomp the crap out of you. And so people were pretty much annoyed by that.
We call that a difficulty spike, right?
Yes, that's a huge difficulty spike. We also had this type of a vehicle that you'd operate that proved to be very frustrating, and there was a lot of difficulty with it. So, it's been really good. And what we've been doing is behind the scenes, we gather data on the length of time that each people spend in each part of the level and how often they die. So we've been looking at that data too and saying, wow, okay, these people are spending forever in the big monster level where they get stomped to death all the time. I wonder why.
How much do you have to put ego aside when you go to these focus tests and you see maybe a level that you yourself worked on, that something that you didn't expect comes up and things go off the rails?
You become very humble very quickly, and you're in a room and everyone knows that you've worked on this level for maybe the last 3 or 4 weeks, and I think for the designers it can be very humbling to realize that it doesn't quite work the way they wanted it to, and a lot of times I've necessarily been the one that's kind of pushed them in that direction. Like, we got to make big monsters that
stomp the crap
out of you.
Yeah.
And they say, okay, let's do it, and then they work really hard on it. So then we all sort of swallow our collective pride and figure out what we can do to make it work.